Hello everybody and welcome back to another Atrus Studios tutorial. Now today we're going to be working on creating a respawn point for our character. That way if we hit this object right here, then we respawn over here. If we come over here and hit this spot right there, we'll respawn right there. So without further ado, let's get started. Now the first thing that we want to do is just take a look at our respawn object. Now our respawn object simply needs two components. It needs a script that has access to of course a respawn set point, which we'll get into that later on, and we'll also need some form of collider on this object. So I have a circle collider here, as you can see, and it's set to is trigger. Now since we have that taken care of, let's go ahead and hop into the fun part, which is of course the script. Now what I want you to do is go over to your scripts folder. If you don't got a scripts folder, that's okay. Simply right click inside of your project panel and go over to create folder and then call it scripts. Then I want you to create a brand new folder called managers, unless you already got a folder called that, and inside here you're going to simply right click, you're going to create a C# script, and you're going to call it game manager. We're going to open that up, and the first thing that we want to do is create a singleton for this value. Now a singleton allows us to be able to say that this right here is the only object of this type inside of the world. So I'm going to just simply type the singleton right there inside this region. And then what I want to do is simply say we're going to create a public static, and we're going to call this game manager, and we're going to call this instance. Next, I want to go into a void awake function, and we're going to say instance is equal to this. So whenever we call this game manager script inside of the world, we'll be able to call this instantly without having to use a get component, which is really nice. Alright, so now for the actual important part of the script. What we want to first do is be able to find the player's location. So the reason why we want to be able to find the player's location is because we want to be able to make sure that our player starts in the beginning. So whenever they die, they'll respawn at the beginning. Later on, of course, we'll add in some form of respawn point to where they can actually spawn at. But for now, let's go ahead and get the player. So I'm going to create a private player, which of course is accessing the script that we created for the player, and we're going to call it player. The next thing that I want to do is create a private vector3, and we're going to call this, let's say, spawn pose. So this is of course where we're going to spawn. Inside of the void start function, we're going to say player is equal to find object of type, and we're going to type in player. Now since we already have the player inside the scene, this should not be an issue because we do have him there. So as long as there's a player inside the scene, this should be alright. If it's not, you need to make sure that it has a return null function, okay? The next thing that we want to do is we want to say spawn pose is equal to player.transform.position. So now whenever we die, we're going to spawn where the player starts. The next thing we want to do is create a public void called set new spawn point, and inside here we want to make sure that one of our conditions is a vector3, which is called new pose. Then we could set our spawn pose equal to that new position, just like so. So now we have the ability to move our character to those positions at any given point and time. Alright, so that's all that we really need for this individual script. Let's go ahead and now take a look at another script that now allows us to be able to access this and update it. Actually, before we do that though, I want to also create a debug inside of this game manager class. Now keep in mind, debugs are meant to be deleted, so whenever you finish your game, just delete all your debugs. So I'm going to say if input.getKey down, and we're going to go keycode.e. So whenever we press the E key, we want to go player.transform.position is equal to spawn pose. So now whenever we press this button, we're going to move our character to that position, wherever that position is supposed to be. Alright, so let's go ahead and get into the other script. Now you can create any script for this, so it doesn't have to be this individual script that I created here, but the key component for this to work is this right here. So as you can see, we have a private void on trigger enter 2D. And if you recall, whenever I was talking about setting up your respawn point, I had a circle collider 2D on there, which was set as a trigger. So inside of here, we're simply checking if the other object that hits this object is the player. If so, then we want to activate the script. Now, as you can see, I have an interact function that's going on right here. So I can go ahead and just simply type this in here. So game manager dot instance dot set new spawn point, and we're going to put transform dot position, just like so. And you could put this right here if you want to. Like I said, I have a lot of extra stuff going on inside of my script, but it's not absolutely necessary. You don't have to worry about it. This right here is important, and this right here is important. Okay, so we're going to go back into our scene, and we need to add a game manager object into the world or the hierarchy, so then we'll be able to actually access our game manager script. Otherwise, we're going to get a very fun bug. So let's go ahead and close that up whenever it finishes compiling. And we're going to right click, we're going to create an empty, and we're going to call this game manager. Reset the position and so the transform, and drag that script right on top of it. So yeah, just like so. Hit Control S, then we're going to hit play and watch the magic happen. So the first thing that we want to do is we want to make sure that our character can just move around, and then we want to be able to spawn our character back at the start position. So I'm going to first move right, I'm going to hit E, and as you can see, our character moves back to the start position like he should. Let's just say we hit this respawn position now. If I press E, then we respawn at that position. Let's go ahead and hit the other one now. Boom. I now respawn at that position. So we now know it works. So anytime that you hit a new checkpoint, it allows you to be able to spawn at that position without any hiccups or issues. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this tutorial. If you did, make sure you leave a like, subscribe, and of course comment. If you have any questions regarding this tutorial or any other tutorials, if you have an idea that you want me to be able to put inside of a video, or if you have questions, make sure to leave all those inside the comment section below. Alright, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. I'll see you guys next time.